Tonight, Labor facing its first real test after announcing the Stage 3 tax cuts. Lucky to be alive, the nasty crash that saw 3 teens end up in hospital, one critical. The leisurely fishing trip turned deadly, the warning for boaties in Melbourne. And retribution, the US carries out a series of attacks after 3 of their soldiers were killed.
This is 7 News with Samantha Heathwood.
Good afternoon. Anthony Albanese has spent the day on the hustings in Melbourne campaigning for Labor's candidate for the looming Dunkley by-election, a seat where the cost of living is biting. The vote will be the first real test for Labor's revamp of the Stage 3 tax cuts. Rob Scott reports.
When federal parliament returns next week after the summer break, Labor's focus will be on shoring up support for its controversial tax shake-up. Anthony Albanese used last night's campaign launch for Jodie Bellier in Dunkley to spruik the benefits of the plan.
Low and middle income earners are going to have a significantly better tax cut.
A mortgage belt seat, the Dunkley by-election is being framed as a referendum on Labor's rewrite of the Stage 3 tax cuts. 87% of workers in the Bayside seat will receive a bigger cut under the plan.
If you identify where cost of living pressures are, you can't just wring your hands and whine about it and complain like Peter Dutton and the Coalition do. You've got to do something about it.
His only solution won't hit for another 5 months. These families have been hurting for so long, not only in Dunkley but around the country.
Wedged on the issue, Peter Dutton has all but confirmed he will wave the changes through, not wanting to be seen to be trying to take away money from Middle Australia. But he'll keep hammering the government over its broken promise.
It's one that people punish you for if they don't like it. But if it's one which says we're going to put more money in your back pocket every payday, that's a broken promise that people can live with.
The by-election was triggered by the death of former MP Peter Murphy, who died in December from cancer. The Prime Minister unveiling a breast imaging suite at the Frankston Hospital today, named in her honour, and announcing $1.5 million to start building a national registry for metastatic cancers. Voters in Dunkley will go to the polls on March the 2nd, which just happens to be the Prime Minister and the Treasurer's birthdays, both hoping the result doesn't spoil their party.
3 teenagers had to be rushed to hospital overnight after crashing their car into a tree and bursting into flames in Sydney's southwest. One is still critical but alive thanks to some quick-thinking Roselands locals. Amy Clements has the details.
Good afternoon. Well, somehow 3 teenagers here in Roselands managed to survive this very serious crash. Those inside the burning Subaru were aged between 17 and 18, all with serious chest injuries.
I was the one that pulled them out of the car. Traumatic. Oh yeah, especially when there's a young kid in the back yelling, saying, you know, start to catch on fire.
These are the moments before the crash. 2 cars fly by, then come to a crashing halt. The teen's car hit a tree and landed nose down.
It was burning. It's making a couple of pops as if it was going to blow, so, you know, there's people running around here a bit frantic.
Those driving along King George's Road pulled over. Some ran to help, with fears that the fire could spread to surrounding homes.
There was a lot of emergency vehicles all around here. They just blocked off the whole road and then they stopped all access. You know, even told us to get back inside and move the crowd up the road. 1
passenger was taken to hospital in a critical condition. The others are stable. How the 18-year-old female driver lost control is being investigated. Police today collected the group's belongings as evidence. The driver of the second car, a 28-year-old man, was uninjured but was taken to hospital for mandatory drug and alcohol testing.
A man has died after a boating accident southwest of Melbourne. As Bethan Yeoman reports, the tinny was found capsized, with one man making a lucky escape, but the other couldn't be saved.
The 2 men in their 60s set out early this morning from the Ocean Grove boat ramp on a fishing trip, but found themselves in trouble almost instantly. Their boat capsizing around 6:50 this morning as they were hit by a wave attempting to cross the river mouth into the ocean. Police say one man became tangled in anchor rope under the boat, while the other was able to make a lucky escape. 3 jet skiers found the 61-year-old from Mauriac sitting on top of the flipped boat and brought him to safety. He was rushed to hospital, no injuries, but witnesses say he was paralysed with shock. A 66-year-old from Anglesea was pronounced dead at the scene.
A lot of boats didn't want to go out because of the size of the waves. This particular boat has obviously taken that risk. They've gone out through the heads and it's unfortunately resulted in the boat capsizing. The river mouth itself looks quite calm, but when they get out into the actual ocean, the waves are quite 3 to 4 metres high and sometimes even higher. It's an absolute tragedy, especially, both men were wearing life jackets, but unfortunately in this case that didn't save the deceased male.
The waves are way, way stronger, much bigger, much higher, much dumpier than they have been sort of in the last month or so.
People go out there all the time, but yeah, you just got to pick your day because, yeah, obviously just by looking at it, you got to get through all those breakers.
Another horror drowning happened at Rye this morning. A scuba diver was found unconscious by the pier around 10 a.m. Authorities are urging the public to stay vigilant this weekend as the weather heats up, advising everyone to be aware of the changing conditions.
A young boy is in hospital after he was bitten by a dingo on the Queensland island of Gari. The attack on the child marks the 4th in as many weeks. He was taken from Kingfisher Bay Resort to Harvey Bay Hospital for treatment. Visitors are being reminded to travel in groups and always stay within arm's reach of children and young teens. As a warning, Queensland could be in the firing line for another tropical cyclone next week. The Bureau says there's a chance we could see another system cross the coast between Townsville and Mackay. Anna McGraw is in Brisbane. Anna, when could this happen?
Sam, it could be as early as Thursday or Friday that we see this low off the Fraser Coast intensify and move west towards Queensland. However, the Bureau is warning it's early days and the chances are slim. And to take this forecast with a grain of salt, there's a 1 in 4 chance we'll see a coastal crossing. And there are several models which have the system tracking in different directions. If it does form and cross the coast, it'll be the 3rd cyclone in as many months in Queensland, which is incredibly rare. We haven't seen this happen since 2018.
To have another potential tropical cyclone just a week and a half or so past the previous one, is a bit unusual. If it approaches the coast, we could see some impacts north of about Mackay at this stage, so including Townsville.
Meanwhile, parts of northwestern Queensland are feeling the effects of ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily, which is continuing to dump heavy rain on interior parts of the state. More than 300 millimetres of widespread falls has been recorded in the past few days, and flood warnings are current in most of those catchments. Now, this system will begin to move down to southwestern Queensland and northern New South Wales from Sunday. So, Sam, certainly 2 systems that will be worth keeping track of this coming week.
Certainly. Anna McGraw in Brisbane, thank you. Attacks in Iraq and Syria and has promised to follow up strikes as retribution for the drone strike that killed 3 of its soldiers. The move risks escalating the Middle East conflict. Here's US correspondent Tim Lester.
For most of the past week, the Biden administration has been promising to answer the deaths of 3 Army reservists in the Middle East. Today, long-range US bombers flew all the way from Texas to lead the assault. The US hitting 85 targets across 7 sites in Iraq and Syria. Precision-guided munitions used to destroy militia bunkers, command and intelligence centres, and drone and ammunition depots. The strikes lasted just 30 minutes, but the President says this is just the start of retribution for last week's attack on an American base in Jordan. Our response began today, President Biden said in a statement. It will continue at times and places of our choosing. Let all those who might seek to do us harm know this: if you harm an American, we will respond. Earlier, Mr. Biden had stood in silence as the bodies of the 3 Americans killed in Jordan were returned to US soil. The attack almost a political necessity for President Biden, given the pressure he's been under here to respond firmly. It runs risks, though. It could even fire the very broader Mideast war that Joe Biden says he's trying to prevent.
So to come in 7 News, a man in his 60s trapped in a home engulfed by flames in southwest Sydney. And the live export ship in Perth, the latest, that had more than 15,000 sheep and cattle on board. We'll have that next.
There's only one thing tougher than taking on one chaser.
And that's taking on two.
Monday at 5.
Double the chasers.
Double the fun.
Think you can take on 2 chasers at once?
Better study up.
Because you're about to get tested.
The Chase. Double Trouble. Monday on 7 and 7+.
Never enough time to make yourself a good meal? Eating quality, healthier meals doesn't have to be that hard. Marley Spoon makes it easy with all the work done for you. Delicious, nutritious meals using seasonally fresh produce, ready in just 6 simple steps. Eating better every day of the week is easy with Marley Spoon. Use code TV220 to get up to $220 off your first 5 boxes at marleyspoon.com.au.
Welcome to Home Loan Heaven.
I was just doing my home loan. Did I die?
Just on the inside.
Hello. Did you know there's a new way to home loan? Compare the Market makes it faster and has a simple online application without endless paperwork.
And it's on your smartphone.
Wow. It's a miracle.
It is if you need a home loan. Compare the Market home loans. From comparing to settlement, it's home loan heaven.
Simples.
That's little Stephen. Today he's a big deal with his fresh, high-fibre, low-GI Sanger, which around here is worth all this. It's good to be king of the schoolyard.
If you have a sore back, you've probably thought about your mattress. But what about your bed base? Bed bases commonly sag, even in amazing-looking beds. That's why we created the Sleeping Duck Indestruct Bed with 50 kilos of structural steel.
Building a sustainably sourced future so we can all come back for seconds. An eye for good. Bird's eye.
A man in his 60s is in hospital with critical burns after 2 arsonists set fire to his home in Sydney's west. Police are now on the hunt for the attackers, calling on the community for help. Andrew Denny reports.
Well, this is all that's left of this home here at Canley Heights after a fierce blaze broke out around 5:45 this morning in a suspected firebombing. A man in his 60s trapped inside. Neighbours were quick to raise the alarm after hearing shouting and broken glass, calling firefighters and helping the owner escape through a window.
Oh my God, I opened the door. I see the house fire.
He's screaming. We try to help him.
Paramedics treating 68-year-old Pavath Pomerly for critical injuries, rushing him to the burns unit at Royal North Shore Hospital. But police quickly discovered this wasn't an accident. This house was deliberately targeted by arsonists who poured petrol through a front window across the lawn and set it alight.
So at this stage we're treating it as suspicious. We have a number of lines of investigation that we're looking at this stage.
Police suspect 2 people set this fire before running away. Forensic officers and sniffer dogs spent most of today gathering evidence.
Crews have found that the fire was quite rapid. At this stage we're possibly looking at multiple indications.
Now police want anyone who might have seen these people flee the scene or have dash cam from around this area of Canley Heights or Fairfield West to come forward and contact Crime Stoppers.
Victorian police are piecing together the circumstances leading up to a fatal crash in Melbourne's north. Emergency services arrived at the scene in Craigieburn in the early hours of this morning to find a male rider with critical injuries. Paramedics attempted to treat the man, but he couldn't be saved. Hundreds of animals on board a livestock ship stranded off the WA coast have been unloaded and taken into quarantine. The move comes after weeks of backlash from animal welfare groups and the cattle industry. Nick Overall has the story.
After 28 days at sea, the Federal Department of Agriculture late last night finally gave permission for some of the livestock on board the Bahija to be unloaded. Several hundred of the sheep and cattle were taken off and into quarantine, but the fate of the animals still on board remains unknown. The ship was bound for Israel but was ordered to return to Australia on January 12th over fears of Houthi rebel attacks in the Red Sea. It's now been docked at Fremantle Port for days amidst a heatwave in Perth while the federal government decides its future. It's understood that on January 26th, the exporter applied to move the livestock to Israel via a longer and safer route. That would add at least 12 days to the journey. It means the number of livestock on board has to be reduced, which is why the ship had to come back. Now, the Department of Agriculture says the unloading of animals last night is separate to the application to re-export them. They say a decision is still being made and the animals are in good health. 7 News has requested vision showing the current conditions inside the ship but received no response. It's hoped a decision will finally be reached in the coming days.
Kenya's Deputy President has said those responsible for the deadly gas explosion in the country's capital will be held accountable. 3 people died while nearly 300 others were injured. The truck carrying gas cylinders exploded on Thursday, igniting a huge ball of fire. The inferno damaged several vehicles, businesses and homes. Emergency services are still searching the ruins for potential bodies. A floating sauna has rushed to the rescue of 2 people after their Tesla plunged into icy waters. The electric car became submerged within minutes. The floating sauna arriving just in time, guests on board wearing just towels, pulling the driver and passenger to safety as the car disappeared. It's understood the driver mistakenly hit the accelerator. The car has since been removed by emergency crews. Sports next with Matt Carmichael. Matty, a booming success since Steve Smith's captaincy return.
Oh, hi, Sam. Yeah, an emphatic win and unbeaten 70. It was Smith in his element and a big deal for his young teammates. That's next. Plus, what could have been for the Socceroos, agonisingly knocked out in the Asian Cup. And Billy Slater brings his Maroons to the people, but is Daly Cherry Evans' place in the team safe?
The biggest week of Idol is here.
There must be something in the water.
The final week of auditions
Don't make me close one more door.
will leave Australia in awe.
I'm buzzing.
That voice.
Yeah. That voice.
Australian Idol. The final week of auditions starts Sunday at 7 on 7 and 7+.
If I'm up in parts unknown, land of bush, dirt and stone, if it's weeks since a shower, I need help within the hour. There's something I'll tell you for sure. Gotta lie, it's almost law. This Land Cruiser drives us home. This Land Cruiser drives us home.
Toyota.
Kickstart your weight loss goals with new Jumpstart Pro by Light and Easy.
The new Jumpstart program is a fantastic option for someone looking to lose weight. It's so simple and you will get results.
Jumpstart Pro combines on-the-go high-protein breakfast shakes with your choice of nutritious chef-designed lunches and dinners.
I can't believe how much better I look and how much better I feel.
Light and Easy Jumpstart Pro, your first step to a healthier, happier you.
Smooth savings ahead. Right now, you can get up to 60% off your second guest. This deal won't last, so hurry. Holiday in every way with Royal Caribbean.
At Woolworths, we can help you spend less today with great weekly specials for back to school, like Vodafone $30 prepaid starter pack with 45 gigs of data, now $10. Save $20. That's better than half price. That's today's fresh food people.
The Plush January sale has been extended with up to 50% off everything. Save up to 50% off everything.
She's got the look.
Extended until Sunday at Plush.
The Roosters calling.
Steve Smith's brief return as Australian one-day captain is having a big effect. He led an eight-wicket victory in the three-match series against West Indies at the MCG. Despite playing with COVID, Josh Inglis hammered 65 with the chance to own David Warner's old opening role.
Oh, that sounded big. That sounded huge.
Smith and Cameron Green both made unbeaten 70s to reach the target of 232 with 69 balls to spare. Xavier Bartlett took 4 for 17 on debut, guided by his idol.
It's incredible, you know, I've spent pretty much the last 10 years watching him on TV, and to now be out there and be captained by him, yeah, quite surreal.
They move on to the SCG for Game 2 tomorrow. The Socceroos Asian Cup campaign came to a heartbreaking end, falling to South Korea in the quarterfinals 2-1. Craig Goodwin scored for Australia leading into half-time in Qatar, but a late defensive blunder brought South Korea back into it deep into stoppage time. Hwang Hee-chan's penalty forced an extra 30 minutes where Tottenham captain Son Heung-min broke Aussie hearts.
Oh, it's a brilliant goal. It's a sensational free kick. Son Heung-min.
Aidan O'Neill's red card was the final insult for Australia.
Yeah, it's painful, you know. It's not, it's hard to not get caught up in the emotions. Obviously, we just couldn't get that extra goal to give us that little bit of a buffer, and moments, they decide games.
South Korea will face Jordan in the semi-finals. Perth Glory came from behind to stun Melbourne City 4-2 in the A-League. City led twice, but Perth scored 3 goals in the final 20 minutes to seal the upset.
Joel Nesmo sends Perth into raptures.
A 94th minute equaliser gave Brisbane Roar a 1-1 draw with league leaders Wellington Phoenix. Queensland coach Billy Slater has no plans to prepare a replacement for Daly Cherry Evans, despite his Maroon skipper turning 35 in less than 3 weeks. Queensland threw open their doors to kids and fans during a weekend-long camp in Brisbane. Cherry Evans was at a Players Association meeting. Slater thinks DCE has plenty left to offer the Maroons.
Those numbers don't matter. As long as you've still got the hunger to play for our state, which they all do. Daly's playing as good as I've seen him play.
A different vibe at new coach Michael Maguire's first Blues camp held behind closed doors in Sydney. The Sydney Kings NBL playoff hopes are in jeopardy after falling to the Adelaide 36ers 85-78. It was tight before Adelaide pulled away late. Sunday Detch put the icing on the cake.
And one more for the road. Sunday Detch splashes it in.
The champions have lost 6 of their past 8, sitting 6th, just ahead of Adelaide on the finals cut-off. The big money golf leagues went head-to-head this morning, with John Rahm announcing himself on the Live Golf stage in Mayakoba, Mexico. Chile's Australian Open champion Joaquin Niemann fired an opening round 59, the second sub-60 round in Live's short history.
Joaquin Niemann has produced a remarkable round of golf.
Niemann is 12 under, leading by 5. Rahm is 7 back and Cam Smith 10 behind. Further north, the official World Top 50 are playing Pebble Beach. Rory McIlroy at 1 over par, 12 behind Scotty Scheffler, the world number 1, on a day that Liv probably stole the show. Make your millions here, make your millions there. It's a tough life for the top golfers at the moment, Sam.
It is tough, isn't it? Thank you, Matty. Still to come in 7 News, we'll take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast right around the country.
Are you ready?
You're a malfunctioning $30 million weapon.
Over 4 massive weeks, Matt Damon and Jeremy Renner are taking you on an action-packed, non-stop thrill ride.
I don't know who I am!
The Bourne Blockbusters, tonight on 7 and 7+.
A lovely
Holiday in every way with Royal Caribbean.
At Coles, our experts go to great lengths for quality. Here, there, everywhere. It's why our Aussie grazed cattle and lamb roam free in open pastures.
Ladies and gentlemen, your grass is served.
And it's why we taste test all our Coles own brand products again.
More chocolate.
And again.
Less chocolate.
And again.
Perfect.
Because when you go to great lengths, you get great quality food. Great lengths for quality. That's Coles.
I'm sorry I used the F word, Gary. Can we at least talk about it?
Get a bonus 10% funeral cover after 5 years of being with us. Insurance Line, here for the heavy stuff.
Wholesome family food is all about keeping things simple. School lunches are no different. Don Sliced Meats are my easy peasy lunchbox favourites. For taste and variety you can't beat. Is Don is good.
More than just beautiful dance. It's a touch of the divine. More than just legends. It's the beautiful culture and wisdom of China before communism. More than just a performance. It's an experience that awakens the soul. See it at least once in your lifetime.
Capitol Theatre, March 8th through the 17th. Shenyun.com.
The US Coast Guard has rescued a dog that was trapped inside a shipping container for up to 8 days. The marine inspectors were randomly selecting containers for inspection at a port in Texas when they heard barking and scratching. The sweet girl, named Connie, was given food and water before being taken to an animal shelter. Let's take a look now at the national weather forecast. A low is bringing heavy rain and storms to Queensland's northwest and eastern parts of the Northern Territory. Troughs and winds are leading to showers and storms over the northern tropics while drawing heat into the southeast. Checking out the capitals for your Sunday, Brisbane partly cloudy tomorrow, a top of 32, tops of 32 degrees for Sydney. Mostly sunny for Canberra, 35, showers for Hobart and 21 there. Melbourne sunshine and a warm 38. 36 in Adelaide and sunny, partly cloudy and 27 for Perth, and finally in Darwin a possible shower and 32. And that's 7 News for now. Our next bulletin is 7 News at 6. I'm Samantha Heathwood. Thanks for your company.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.